The ruins of the forgotten planet Zarin had long since grown cold, as if the very air had forgotten the fire that once burned here. For centuries, no soul had ventured to this desolate world. The only movement that remained was the soft whistling of the cosmic wind, whispering through the shattered remains of crystal towers. The lost city stood in silence, its once glistening buildings now worn down by time and the relentless forces of nature. Yet, in the heart of this empty city, where no stars had shone for ages, something began to stir. Ilias, the last warrior, stood frozen in time, holding the glowing starblade. His armor, once shining like the stars, was now tarnished and cracked, though still powerful in its own way. The echoes of his battle long forgotten, his form stood like a monument to an ancient war, waiting. The explorers, having arrived on the planet by chance, were the first to disturb the timeless peace. As they approached the silent figure of Ilias, their eyes filled with awe and curiosity. The leader of the group, a seasoned explorer named Captain Rian, was the first to speak. "This must be him," Rian whispered, his voice barely audible, as if speaking too loudly would shatter the mystery before them. "Ilias, the last warrior. The legend, he's real." The others nodded, their expressions a mix of wonder and disbelief. They had heard tales of Ilias, stories passed from one generation of space travelers to the next. But none of them had ever imagined they would find him, standing untouched by the passage of time. The star blade, pulsing softly in his hand, was a beacon of the past, glowing with a faint light. Rian stepped forward, reaching out toward the figure, but before he could touch the ancient warrior, something extraordinary happened. Ilias's eyes, long dimmed by the ages, flickered with life. Slowly, the warrior's hand tightened around the star blade, and his body, once rigid and still, began to move. The air around them hummed with energy, and the ground trembled slightly, as if the planet itself recognized the awakening of the last of its kind. For a long moment, Ilias stood still, his gaze searching the stars above, his expression unreadable. Then, in a voice that resonated like a cosmic echo, he spoke. "Who dares to awaken me?" His voice, though weary, carried the weight of 1,000 battles and the sorrow of a lost civilization. The explorers stood frozen, unsure how to respond. Rian, always the brave leader, took a step forward. "We are travelers," he said carefully. "We didn't mean to disturb you, but we've heard the legends. We came to learn the truth." Ilias's gaze fell upon them, and for the first time in centuries, a flicker of recognition seemed to pass through his eyes. He looked down at the star blade in his hand, the weapon that had once been his companion in battle, and sighed. "The truth," Ilias muttered, almost to himself, "is a thing of great weight. You seek to know what remains of a war that consumed everything, my people, my planet, all of it gone. I am the last, and my fight ended long ago." Captain Rian, feeling the weight of Ilias's words, stepped closer. We know of the Skyfall Wars, but we don't understand. You were a hero. Why are you still here? What happened?" Ilias's gaze turned distant, as if the memories were far too painful to bear. He spoke softly, almost as if recounting a tale told long ago. "The Xylok were relentless. My people, the Zerani, thought we could win, but we underestimated the darkness that came with them. Their leader, Vrakan, was a force unlike any other, and he sought to control not just planets, but the very stars themselves. He twisted space and time with the power of the Vorith, a beast of metal and flesh, a ship that was alive, its very essence woven into the fabric of the cosmos. It was a weapon of unimaginable power." He paused, his eyes clouded with the past. I fought, but the battle was lost. Zarin, my home, shattered into dust. The star blade, it saved me from the final blow, but it could not save my people. And so, I remained here, frozen in time, waiting for the end that never came." The silence that followed was thick with grief. The explorers stood in awe, realizing the deep sorrow that lay behind the legend of Ilias. But then, something remarkable occurred. A distant rumble, like the thunder of ancient engines, echoed through the ruins. Ilias's eyes snapped open, now filled with urgency. "The Xylok are not gone. I can feel them." The sky above them darkened, and the ground began to tremble again, this time more violently. It was as if the planet itself was alive, reacting to an ancient power reawakening. "What's happening?" Rian asked, his voice trembling with fear and wonder. Ilias, with newfound strength, gripped the star blade and looked toward the horizon. "They have returned. The final battle is not over. It is time for the last warrior to fulfill his vow." With a mighty step, Ilias leapt into the air, his star blade glowing brighter than ever. The explorers, stunned and unsure, watched as Ilias ascended, propelled by the energy of the weapon. The starblade's light pierced the sky, and the ground beneath them cracked open, revealing ancient pathways leading to the depths of the planet. "We need to follow him." Rian shouted, his voice filled with awe. Without hesitation, he and the crew rushed to their ships, determined to see the legend through to its end. They followed Ilias as he soared across the planet, the star blade blazing a trail through the cosmos. Above them, dark ships, shaped like monstrous shadows, began to descend from the stars. The Xylok had returned, and their warships were more terrifying than ever before. The last warrior, Ilias, had awoken not just to remember the past, but to finish what he had started. The time for legends was over. The time for heroes had come. As Ilias faced the oncoming storm of Xylok ships, he raised the Starblade high, its power surging with the fury of a dying star. The final battle for the galaxy was about to begin, and Ilias would not go down without a fight. The universe watched. And in the silence of space, the heroism of one warrior long forgotten would shine once more. The final soldier had awakened. The legend of Ilias, the last warrior, was not a tale of the past, it was a story of the future. And as the cosmos continued to spin, travelers across the galaxy whispered his name, knowing that one day his legacy would call out to them, and the final battle would be fought once again.
Hey there! If you're enjoying the story so far, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our exciting adventures.